Hello and welcome to this game review. So in this one it seems you did not really look at your opponent's forcing moves, and that this should have led to a loss, but as it so happens, Black gave you some pieces and you won the game. So let's take a look. So we have the open Sicilian, and this is the Kalashnikov variation. Black is fighting for the center, but he is weakening the square on d5 very much. Now Black will never be able to defend this square, which is why White should try to put his pieces on the square as quickly as possible before Black gets some initiative and development. Also here d6 is slightly weak, which is why White must play knight b5 at this point, because there is the small threat of knight d6, which would pick up the bishop pair and also get the queen to a strong position. For example, after this, knight f6, well maybe not now, but for example, bishop g5 defending here. Next could be here, or even taking, and White has a nice position. So here d6 is usually played to not allow this, and White should play something like c4, getting control of the square, and next the knight can go to d5, or the other knight as well, and White has good control over the position. There are weaknesses here and here. But knight f3 is a bad move. The knight is not going to do anything on f3, it's not attacking e5 because d6 will always be played, and now Black is doing quite fine because he has a lead in development. So here, White should try to finish development as quickly as possible to castle kingside, and then try to attack on this d5 square. For example, bishop c4, castle kingside, then the bishop can come out to g5 to pick up this knight. And the reason this would be good is because the knight is defending the d5 square. But now bishop g5 is played, but this is very careless. This did not think about the opponent's forcing moves. And now after queen b6, this is a fork on f2 as well as b2. So now the position is a bit critical and White must find a good defense. And here it turns out there's not that much White can do, because for example, if he defends here, then Black could take here, though this would probably give him sufficient compensation in view of the very weak king, who is going to be in the center. For example, bishop c4, castles, and the king will be very much attacked in the near future once White finishes development. So probably queen d2 should have been played, which is a very typical move in such positions, and after which Black would be in some trouble. But knight e4 is a fork, but this overlooks a lot of things. Firstly, just because we attack the queen doesn't mean he will move it. And here Black can take on f2 with a check, after which we must go to e2, I guess. And Black has a lot of moves here, but mainly he can just move away the queen to attack the knight. And at the end of this, Black could even take the pawn with check, but let's say he takes here. White has lost a pawn, his king is very weak, so this is very bad. So we must not allow these kind of checks without calculating something, and here it seems White did not really calculate what happens after bishop takes f2. So before making any move, we must think about all of our opponent's checks, captures, and attacks, or at least like 1 or 2 or 3 of them. Because after this, there's also queen a5, and now White just went back. So this is also not really very good, just walking back and forth, allowing Black to improve the position for free. Now the queen went to a5 for free, and also, as you mentioned, before making any move, again think about the opponent's checks, captures, and attacks. After knight c3, there would have been knight e4, and Black is completely winning, as there's the threat here as well as here, and it's hopeless. Instead, c3 should be played because now the queen defends the knight on a4, and here White might be kind of okay. For example, here he can take here, the bishop can go back, and Black is up a pawn, but White can finish development. He has the bishop pair, there is this d5 square, so there is something to play for. Yet after knight c3, yeah, knight g4 is a horrible move. Of course, knight takes e4 basically wins the game on the spot, so something went very wrong in this game for us to get to a losing position in 9 moves. And as usual, checks, captures, and attacks, we must look at the opponent's forcing moves. And up until here, White did not really think, and here bishop f2 was allowed, and this was also allowed. Okay, now Black starts doing some strange stuff, knight g4, but bishop h4 is a nice move defending f2. Queen b4, but now black is breaking the opening principles, not developing his pieces. He should just castle, probably play d6, and white should be fine if he gets developed. And queen b4, bishop d4. But now white doesn't really win a piece here because black should take back with the pawn to attack here. And after queen g4 taking here, white is winning because he is first to take on g7. And here, even though black can do this after king d1, there are no checks, and the black is losing on the king side. If white gets developed again, he'll be winning. This bishop is very strong. This rook can take on b2 at some point, and black is very much undeveloped and lost because also this rook is hanging. So this is probably still the best black can do. After knight takes d4, now white is just winning a piece. If queen d4, this would also win a piece. So now white is up a piece for nothing, and also g7 is hanging. And black takes here, but now after king d1, both g7 and c2 is hanging. Black decides to give up the knight, but this should be an easy win for white with 2 pieces up. Now we just have to not allow counterplay, and the simplest way to do this is to exchange queens. Here queen e2 is a nice idea to go to b5, and this worked out quite well. The queens were exchanged, and now white just has to not allow any counterplay again, and he plays bishop f6. So white finds this idea of giving checkmate, but this is a bit maybe too difficult. We should make it as simple as possible when we're in such winning positions, and the simplest way to win would be to simply finish development. Maybe put the bishop on c4, the king can go to d3, the rooks can go to the c file, and eventually we'll just invade and use our very good pieces. But of course bishop f6 also works, knight c7 and knight e5 threatening checkmate. Black can defend and the game would kind of continue, but still white is 2 pieces up, so the game should be quite easily won. In the game, bishop e6, knight e7 happened with a nice checkmate pattern with the bishop and the knight, so we didn't even need these pieces. So quite nicely played at the end by white, but of course in the opening we should and must calculate the opponent's forcing moves. So while playing bishop g5, we must have seen queen b6. We cannot make this move without seeing the move queen b6, which is a fork on b2 and f2. Instead, we should aim to castle as quickly as possible, as in the opening. If we do not castle, our king will be very weak, and this is the most important opening principle, castling as quickly as possible. And white would be doing quite fine.